Hi everyone, welcome to another waste of your time video. Well, actually, this isn't a waste of your time video like we usually do. It's actually a slideshow of a recent camping trip that we just got back from. And hopefully inside this video, we're going to demonstrate three distinct styles of camping. And those three are van, SUV camping, minimalist camping, and glamour camping. So hold on and watch this video, not only for some ideas and capabilities, but just the knowledge if you're curious about how you go about camping. Oak Ridge Campground, June Lake, California, in the eastern Sierra Nevada mountains. It's April 30th to May 2nd is when we took our camping trip, and that was in 2021. Outside temperatures during the daytime was in the 60s, and nighttime temperatures dropped down to 32 degrees. Gusts of wind all day, all night, and we were talking about gusty winds, enough to knock down. We saw canopies that were just being tossed up in the air, entire campsites being demolished, tents that weren't tied down were blown across the campgrounds. So hopefully inside this slideshow, we're going to demonstrate the joys of camping outdoors and the idea of being prepared. And that's how I see it. If you're going to camp, you need to be prepared if you want to really enjoy yourself. And the more you prepare, the more you're going to enjoy the experience. And that not only comes from the shelters that you use, but also the supplies that you bring, the equipment that you have, just everything in general. The food that you bring, all going to make a big difference on how you enjoy the great outdoors. So in today's video slideshow, we'll go over three distinct styles of camping: van SUV camping, minimalist camping, and glamour camping. So I think a little background about the family is in order before we get into the video, the slideshow. As a family, we like to do things apart, and we like to do things together. And it's really great when we are together and we're able to do um, things. But one of the big things is we do things differently, completely different. Um, but it's great when we can come together and do things that we all like. We do a lot of traveling apart, and we do a lot of traveling together. And the idea is we're always thinking about the next hobby that we're going to have and the next adventure. Those pictures were actually of a three-room cabin tent. It was a 10 by 20 summer tent. Had three different rooms in it. Like I said, we're always looking for the next hobby or the next challenge or the next adventure. You know, if we see something on the side of the road that's for sale, an old broken down RV or something, just ideas start going inside your head, and the capabilities and what we can do with that. The kids are adventurers too. Joe with a Harley Davidson, Andy there with his Harley Davidson, and there was Walter. It's my wife, Martha. We were traveling in Ecuador, and that's something that she wanted to bring home. Literally, she was negotiating to bring that kid home. And this is just the family on an outdoor outing, putting a few of the things that we do together, all together as a family. So back to today's video slideshow. Again, van camping, minimalist camping, glamour camping. Hopefully ideas for those that are curious about capabilities in the great outdoors. First off is Joe's van. Purpose built RV stealth van life in van that she bought. It's a work in progress. She just got it, and it has all the basic necessities as far as sleeping quarters and storage and safety devices such as fire extinguishers. They even, I think they even have a carbon monoxide sensor. Um, they have plenty of power as far as electrical power to power up their things. As far as a couple of inverters, um, small 200, big 800, and obviously the vehicle itself has USB ports throughout, just being a minivan. This one was set up, like I said, as a stealth RV, a van life RV, and you can see it does have capabilities. The sleeping quarters are custom built with the storage underneath. Take in mind, Joe stands about 5 feet something, and James, the partner, is actually 6'2", if I'm not mistaken, and they also travel with their dog Mason. Um, they actually chose the Dodge van because it does have a lot of inside space, a lot more inside space than, let's say, the Honda Odyssey and the Toyota Sienna. Again, it's a work in progress. They're going to be putting on possibly a privacy curtain around the tailgate, also fixing some sort of shower so they can actually clean up while they're traveling. And they've already taken this van on a few trips and adventures. They like to do a lot of hiking and sightseeing and traveling um, all over the place. And so I think this was the first time they were using it as a camping vehicle. Again, we had gusting winds, we had freezing temperatures at night, and they were warm and comfy inside the van. And that's the nice plus thing about SUV camping. We did it last season ourselves, and basically, when it got cold, all you do is you fire up the engine, turn on the heater, and you're totally out of the elements. So, capabilities of the van, I would give it a thumbs up. If anybody's thinking about camping, don't have to pitch a tent, don't have to put up a canopy. Literally everything is self-contained, ready to go. So as far as the idea of enjoying camping, using a van or an SUV is a definite plus. Our next is up is minimalist camping, and minimalist camping is kind of interesting because the idea behind minimalist camping is to bring as little gear as possible. So it's actually a kind of a contradiction in camping as far as being prepared. But you can be prepared and bring little gear along to camping and really enjoy yourself. The idea is to make sure that you have the proper gear, and it's going to make yourself, as far as your experience, just so much more enjoyable. Um, that's Andy. He's actually inside of a shelter that we're going to discuss, and that's actually an ice fishing shelter. It's not made for summer camping, but it actually is really neat. And there's Alex, Andy's friend. He came with his hammock, and hammock is another way that minimalists like to camp. So this ice fishing shelter is really cool because, like I said, it's built for ice fishing. So it's supposed to be on top of a iced lake, a lake that is frozen over. It doesn't have a floor, so that's how they ice fish. But using it inside of a camping situation is really neat because not only is this thing super insulated, but it's also, uh, as far as putting it up and taking it down, is just very quick. And when I say it takes only 30 seconds to pop it up, and 30 seconds to pop it down. I'm not exaggerating. It actually might be even less. It has kind of like an origami design to it, and so it kind of folds up into almost nothing. That structure right there actually folds down and folds up into a, basically, it looks like a large lawn chair. That's the size of what that thing actually um, finally collapses into. Like I said, it's super insulated, and it's made for ice fishing, so it's made for inclement weather. So if you were to use that, and like I said, the camping uh, for this trip was in the 30s in the evening with gusty winds. Um, no problem at all. Body heat on the inside quickly warmed up the inside once you zip that thing up, making it a fantastic structure for camping. Then you take a look at Alex's setup, which is a hammock um, with basically a rain fly on top to stop the wind. Uh, Again, minimalists like to carry as little gear as possible. That folds up and goes into a little backpack that you can carry around, very light, very comfortable, and very warm. I mean, I think Alex had shorts on, and he was able to bundle up and really keep himself out of the elements and stay nice and warm and cozy when it got cold. And then they had to bring the kayaks. Alex brought his two kayaks, and again, we talk about minimalist, but hey, the kayaks a necessity if you want to enjoy the great outdoors. So these two guys are experienced campers. They go out not only in the summertime but also in the wintertime. So it's basically a year-round thing for them, and they have the right equipment. If you, like I said, you bring the right equipment, your experience is going to be just so much better. And the last style of camping that we have is glamour camping. And as I mentioned before, we started off with a 10 by 20 cabin tent with 3 rooms. Each room we had a living quarter with the bed, queen size bed. We had a couch area, living space. Not only did it have a couch, but it also had kind of like a lounge chair. And actually, the third room, actually had a bathroom unit. Um, so when you get into glamour camping, you want to have all the creature comforts. And the only problem with the cabin tent is it's basically a summer tent, and it would get very, very cold at night inside the tent. And so the next year we actually tried SUV camping, which we really liked a lot. Able to fire up the heater at any given time. But obviously, when you're using a van or an SUV, then you sacrifice space. Yeah, it gets kind of claustrophobic inside the van or the SUV. So going to a different structure, if you're going to be glamour camping, these ice fishing shelters are probably the best thing to go to. Um, I can't say enough about ice fishing huts for camping. I think it's literally the wave of the future. This one, just like the other one, pops up and down in literally 30 seconds. Heavily insulated. Um, so as far as 30-degree weather outside, um, wind, no problem at all. You zip this thing up. We didn't feel any wind whatsoever. It was gusting out there. Like I said, there was canopies and tents that were just flying throughout the campground, and we didn't even know what was going on outside. We could hear the wind, but we didn't feel anything. When you look at this tent, you notice that it's heavily insulated, but it's also spacious on the inside. You can stand up in there pretty comfortably, not being claustrophobic. We can actually put a queen size air mattress in there. When you look at it, you'll also see a little um, pop-up canopy that's actually inside there, and inside that is actually a porta potty. So even when it gets cold outside, and we wake up in the middle of the night and have to use the restroom, we don't have to walk. Uh, we don't have to walk 100 yards to the outside restroom. We can use the one that's inside the tent, and we don't get cold, which is a huge, huge plus when you're camping. Some of the other things that we had inside this tent was a Buddy Mr. Heater, which is basically a propane indoor heater. And like I said, nighttime temperatures fell into like the 30s, and we were able to fire up that heater. Basically, about 20 minutes would it basically heat up the inside of the canopy, inside the shelter. And because it was it's insulated. It really retains the heat very well. And outside temperatures were in the 30s. Inside temperatures, after firing up the Mr. Heater, uh, we got into the 60s and the 70s. And so it was very, very comfortable inside the structure during the cold night and the gusting winds. Some of the things that it doesn't have a floor because it is an ice fishing hut. So what we did is we actually put it on a 10 by 20 tarp, and these ice fishing shelters actually have these flaps, and these flaps you're actually supposed to put them outwards when you're on a iced up lake. You're supposed to pack snow on top of these flaps, and that keeps it insulated to the ground. What we did was we actually turned those into the tent, and we took duct tape and we ran 3 beads around it. And my idea was also if we were in some sort of inclement weather like rain, we probably would have went 5 beats, but because we knew that weather was going to be okay, we just went with 3. But basically, it keeps the wind out from coming from the bottom and also bugs. And if in inclement weather, if it was rainy, it would also keep water out if you had 5 beats of duct tape on the floor. So that kind of takes care of the flooring situation that you're going to find with an ice fishing shelter. Uh, but other than that, like I said, I think it's the coolest thing. One drawback to these things is seriously it gets hot during the day. In the daytime, these things turn into saunas. So, not sure how we're going to combat that. One thing that we're going to do is they don't have screened windows. They do have windows that come down, but they don't have screened windows. So we're going to actually add mesh to the screen windows, and we're going to probably create some sort of screen doors on both sides so you have airflow going back and forth. Hopefully that might help with the heat situation during the day. Or the other idea is possibly closing everything up, making it tight, airtight, and then going with an AC unit on the inside. So that's just something that we're thinking about. The other thing that we're going to modify this tent with is possibly an indoor shower because it does have the space to do it. Again, that's with a queen size air mattress, a porta potty cassette, a pop up tent in there already, and we think we can actually manage putting a shower unit in there and with also our luggage in there. So Glamour camping, um, this is definitely the tent to use. Would be an ice fishing shelter. Get the large one. This one is 11 by 7, and they actually make bigger ones. So thank you for watching another waste your time video. And this one was a slideshow, and hopefully this slideshow will give you some ideas and some capabilities as you plan your next camping trip using 3 distinct different styles in SUV camping, van camping, minimalist camping, and glamour camping, glamping. And if you take just the ideas from all 3 of these, or you know, I'm telling you, and plan whenever you go camping. Um, it's going to be just such a more enjoyable experience when you're actually out there. Stay safe, stay well. We're actually still in a pandemic, and in all honesty, camping is a great way to cope with the challenges of social distancing and still have a great time enjoying the great outdoors. Mason, the dog, in the slide, kind of sums it up. Rest when you can as you adventure in camping. And so many adventures await. Um, Thanks for letting me waste your time with my slideshow on our recent camping trip. But look at the bright side. I just wasted your time with knowledge, and that's cool.